let's color space. No filter here, just the truth.
In Miami-Dade, there are figures who never truly leave. They change titles, they change slogans, but they remain within the same ecosystem of power. José, Pepe Díaz is, for many residents, a political dinosaur. A name that resurfaces again and again when the subject of actions involves permits, annexations, developments, projects, and the true weight of private interests in community life. This episode is not an isolated incident. We are here to do what democracy demands, to document, contextualize, and demand public accountability. Because in local politics, harm is not always measured in criminal convictions. More often, it is measured by something else. Conflicts of interest, the appearance of favoritism, and decisions that consistently fall on the same side. Over the years, various media reports have described controversies related to Pepe Díaz during his time in local power. For example, it has been reported that authorities examined allegations related to a 2004 trip involving a prominent developer, and that, according to those reports, the matter attracted federal scrutiny. It is important to state this clearly: no charges were filed. The matter, as publicly reported, was closed without a formal indictment. That is the legal reality, and it is the same reality that Pepe Díaz and his allies have used to assert that there was nothing there. But public ethics do not begin and end with the criminal standard. The legitimate question, which every resident has the right to ask, is whether a public official acted or acts under undue influence, or whether the conduct creates a reasonable appearance of conflict, especially when the context includes developers, lobbyists, public officials, contracts, permits, and decisions involving projects for entire communities. Years later, columns and reports push the same question forward: how is public service separated from private benefit when a politician maintains, or has maintained, connections with companies and actors who depend on government decisions? This concern has been a recurring theme in the public debate of Miami-Dade, and it is not based on a single rumor. It is based on patterns that have been discussed in the media and in the political memory of the region. But the heart of this episode isn't the past for the sake of the past. The heart is the present, it's Sweetwater. Sweetwater, which is transforming at a rapid pace. And when a city changes like that, the result is always the same. Someone wins and someone loses. In that landscape, the Lil Abner case became a symbol of the lack of human empathy on the part of some of those involved, primarily our politicians, whose actions will affect working families, vulnerable residents, people who can't move, elderly pensioners, and a reality that has become all too common in South Florida: displacement under the pressure of urban development. This is where political dinosaurs matter. Because municipal power isn't symbolic. Municipal power is operational. It shapes timelines, permits, rules, and priorities. It can push to protect residents, or it can look the other way while the market and developers move forward. And while that happens, another trend emerges. In Sweetwater, it's increasingly becoming a city shaped around the university ecosystem and the demand for high-end housing. When a city reorganizes itself around a transient population, the social cost is often the disappearance of families who have lived there for years. This phenomenon doesn't require conspiracies. It only requires public decisions that fail to draw real boundaries. That's why the responsible way to address this, legally and factually, is simple. We don't invent facts. What we do is ask questions, tough questions, and demand answers through documents. Who met with whom before the key decision? What private projects? What protections were included in the housing law, if any? What mitigation was required? Traffic, drainage, water, and who sat down to talk like human beings, owner and tenant? What votes, orders, and rule changes directly benefited specific developments? Because if this administration acted cleanly, why allocate millions of dollars if it will increase their asset value? And if it functioned as a facilitator for controversial private interests, the record will show that it did so through omissions, hasty approvals, silences, and decisions that consistently favored one side. That's the point. When power becomes routine, when politics becomes entrenched, the dinosaur doesn't fall on its own. It only falls when exposed to the light.